Hey guys, what's up? I'm Josh Norbito, the illusionist, and I'm here in the Morris lab cooking up some magic today.
Hey, what's going on, my friends? Jason here. I hope you're all doing fantastic. Now, as you saw in that intro, I did a little bit of a video for a magician friend of mine, and man, he was an incredible magician, may I add. We came together just to sort of create something and, you know, do something for his business, because obviously since this pandemic, he has literally done nothing because there's been no work, there's been no events. And he just needed some advertisement pieces for his business, obviously because things are starting to pick back up here in Australia. So the difficult thing with this one though is that, yeah, this one wasn't planned at all. Like absolutely nothing. The only thing we had discussed was the props, the overall feel of the shoot, and we didn't physically have any shot list or any storyboards completed. This essentially the only certain idea that we had was the music. Josh was able to jump online onto ARTLIST and choose his style of music that he wanted. And then from that, we were able to create some sort of certain style and just energy to create to within, you know, knowing what kind of music we're actually going to be working with. So thankfully, ARTLIST, you know, is a great music service that, you know, you're able to download the track and use it for commercial use as well. YouTube's, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. It's really good because it's completely licensed and Josh can use it for any of his business sort of stuff, which is great. Now, having that extra option with the sound effects is really useful, especially with this type of gig. You know, having sound design really does help, you know, the audience sort of become immersed in the moment and watching the magic unfold. Now, the one thing that he did say that in this video, some of these moves are actually just for other magicians to see, because most people won't really notice. You know, these type of moves are actually quite difficult to pull off, but other magicians will actually understand that some of these moves are actually very difficult to pull off. Essentially, the main thing about magicians is that if you are filming them, you know, these tricks are all about sleight of hand, misdirection, and all those kind of things, and slow motion can definitely change sort of how the tricks are perceived. But I feel like there were certain instances in that intro that, you know, it warranted it. We wanted some nice slow motion just to show, you know, how cool that trick actually is. We wanted some speed ramping just to make the trick look a little bit more epic rather than just your regular standard pace. But needless to say, I was pretty happy how it turned out. It was very difficult. Like I said, using ARTLIST definitely helped with the atmosphere of the video, and having Josh pre-pick the music was much easier, especially for post-production, because sometimes you could spend absolutely all day trying to actually find the correct music. You know, it is, how many times do you sort of sit there and just scroll, okay, that's not the right one, that's not the right one, that's not the right one. The main thing as well is that the client sort of definitely, music is very subjective. The client will have a different idea in their head of how they actually want the video to sound and the pace of the video. So sometimes it is good to collaborate with who you're actually collaborating with and say, hey, what kind of style do you want? What kind of beats per minute? What pace are you after? Because then I can actually choose a song that's very similar to that BPM. But yeah, also with ARTLIST is that you don't actually have to purchase a single license for that one music track, which is really good because that can cost a whole bunch of money when you are doing client work. This one, you have one license to rule them all, and you can use it for pretty much forever, which is great. And anything, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, online, commercials, blah, 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 it is great. Now, as you can see, there were a whole bunch of shots in there that potentially look tough, and they were very tough. There was some, like I think there was one shot that literally took 20 minutes to film. That's when he sort of had to flick it from one hand to the other. And it was pretty much just me. He flicked it, you know, perfectly, but I mean, it could go up a little bit higher out of the frame. It was just, oh my God, it took absolutely forever to film that one. But you know, it's all about repetition when it comes to shooting B-roll, or you just don't be afraid to tell your subject just to go, oh, can we do that one again? Can we do that one again? Just to make sure, because focus is really important. We did have a very short depth of field because we're working under my old studio, which was actually quite low light. This one is, I've got a whole bunch more lights that I can really boost up the ambience in the room, and thus keeping the ISO down as well. But yeah, depth of field was an issue, so you know, trying to keep that subject in focus was very, very hard. Because I do manual focus everything as well, it is very important to manual focus when you are doing these types of B-rolls. Or even shooting in almost anything. You want to be in control of your autofocus. I mean, there are some points you do want to click on the autofocus just so it can grab on quicker, because most of the time it actually is much more accurate. It's just sometimes when there is a subject sort of a little bit further in the distance than in the foreground, you want to focus on that instead of the foreground. But yeah, anything that I use in this video, the links will be in the description below, because I did use just one SL60 Godox soft light with a softbox, and I had a iWater Genius light, so a little one. You probably notice it's giving me a little bit of a kick light on this side here. That's where the iWater Genius light is. But yeah, link will be in the description below if you do want to check those out. Now, I did go in between the Tamron 17 to 28 and the 28 to 75, 2.8 for this video. And I really wanted to use the wide lens a lot more for the close-ups, because I really wanted that sort of strange distortion look. Like when a subject is really close to you, it just looks like it's much bigger than right there. So I didn't want to go anywhere near, you know, 35 or 50. I tried to keep it between 17 to 28 at most times. There were certain instances where I did go to 35 or 50. But also ARTGRID is also linked to ARTLIST. They're very similar concepts, but obviously ARTGRID is more so on downloading stock footage for your ads and stuff as well. Now, this can be incredibly handy, specifically for me where I've created some ads for companies in the past and they needed a particular shot and I didn't have that shot, but having that little bit of B-roll on top, people don't actually know. People probably actually thought that you shot that. You just need to make sure that you color grade it the same as your footage, and that's perfectly fine. But once again, licensing and copyright issues is absolutely non-existent with this. So that is really good, especially like, you know, when you put in a little clip over the top when you're trying to explain a particular thing. It is really good to use stock footage, because you may not actually have someone on a set. You may not actually have that, so you need to actually find that. ARTGRID does have that sort of stuff, which is really good. It's so stress-free. You don't actually have to set out, go to a film set and trying to get that stock footage, which is good. It saves so much time, saves so much money, saves so much effort. You can just go to ARTGRID and find that. But yes, this is an affiliated video. It's not sponsored. So the affiliated links are in the description below. If you do want to help this channel out, that would be absolutely amazing. But anyway, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. That would be absolutely appreciated. Subscribe to my channel if you already haven't. And until next time, my name's Jason Morris. See you in the next one. Let's get it.